All right, here we go again. Got another great guest on board. Cool dude from Florida. His name's Chris, and he is a self-described city boy, what he told me, and he became interested in this topic and went for it and went looking into it himself and came up with a lot of interactions, a lot of experiences. And he came on board here to share what he experienced and share his ride of gathering information, looking for truth. And he's got a lot to say. He can talk, and I can listen. I listen. He's found out a lot for his own personal puzzle, and he's confident in what he's found, and he's willing to share it with all of us. So listen to this one. This is True Talk, episode 32. Here we go.
Thunder calling down my name. Why don't you hear me wonder? Ooh, ooh. Shining just like sin. Why don't you hear me wonder? Ooh, ooh. Tell me, river, where your current flows. Why don't you hear me wonder? Ooh, ooh. Oh, stop your freight train. Let a lost man ride. Why don't you hear me wonder? Ooh, ooh. Fare you well, darling, ain't coming back no more. Why don't you hear me wonder? Ooh, ooh. Who's been whispering since I've been gone so long? Freedom calling.
Yeah, where are you?
Man, take your time. I'm sorry. What'd you ask?
Where are you?
Orlando, Florida area.
Oh, is it hot there?
It's starting to, yeah. 90 degrees and humidity sucks.
Yeah, it's a little chilly here yet. Hey, you know the drill. We're just gonna have a bullshit session. Who gives a shit about the camera, right?
Okay.
Say whatever you want, man.
All right, man.
What do you know? Where you been? What do you do?
Well, you know, man, I don't mind having that conversation with you personally, but when it comes to people and their opinions of me, you know, I've noticed through the years of my personal experience, people are a hero or a bastard based off of what they do or they don't do, what they say or they don't say. And so if you'd like to get to know me personally, I'm fine with that. But for this purpose, man, I just don't give a shit what people think of me. And I don't care to waste my time with information that they don't care to hear. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All good, man.
So,
Like, look,
so
I'm the king of not giving a shit, right?
but like I said, if after this, when we get done, if you want to talk, I'll tell you all you want to know about me, and we can go from there. If not, that's cool too, man. I know you're a busy man. You got a life to live.
Yeah, all good. We want to hear what you've learned. What have you seen? What have you learned? What do you know? I don't hear all of it.
Man. I've got a story that is well, I hope it helps everybody out. And before I get started, I want everybody to understand. I don't want you to listen to me and believe. I want you to listen to me and challenge what I've said based off of what the Bible says, because that's where I'm going with this. And we are going to talk about the only people in the Bible who declared themselves to be invincible, and that's the Edomites. Esau was the first of their kind. He was born hairy all over like a garment, a man of the woods, a mighty hunter. Later on, God changed his name to Edom, and God declares that he is the father of the Edomites. In the book of Obadiah, the Edomites declare themselves to be invincible. What they ask is, who can bring us down to the ground? That's a death declaration. And in response to this, God says, though the Edomites ascend to where the eagles are, and though the Edomites make their nests among the stars, indicating that they live among the stars, which the Indians have been saying for a long time.
Right.
So Indian folk, you got the Bible backing you up, and this is coming out of the mouth of the Lord, mind you. And God declares that he will be the one to bring them down to the ground. So, if you'll excuse me, running out of breath. So, with that being said, when you didn't get into this topic, people like to think that there's no contradictions in the Bible. And on its surface, if you don't know what's going on, well, yeah, there are. And one of those issues is the Edomites. Like, God declares that he will destroy them as a nation because he got tired of their attitude. They were prideful. And so he destroys them as a nation. But in the end times, during the Revelation judgments, they're around and they escape the issues of the false Messiah or the Antichrist. And so as time, wow, I'm getting flustered and I apologize, man. There's so much information.
All good.
So let me collect my thoughts here.
Have you seen one of these things?
I have. After I have been spending, when I first came, let me back up a little bit, and then we'll get back to the biblical stuff, and hopefully it'll work its way in the conversation. That way I'm not sitting there trying to concentrate on what the Bible has to say about what's going on.
Yeah. Just let
I thought it was gonna go more smoothly than this, and it's not.
It is smooth. It's fine.
So with that being said, yeah, what happened was, as a kid, like everybody, I've had an interest in the Bigfoot topic. You know, those that have an interest in it, you know, Leonard Nimoy in Search of.
Yeah.
And as I got older and I started thinking for myself, I'm watching these Bigfoot documentaries, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, you know, people are giving their names. They're allowing themselves to be known, and they're claiming that they're seeing something in the woods. They're willing to suffer ridicule to give us a heads up. Something's going on. They don't know what, but something's going on. And as time went on, I was watching a Bigfoot documentary in 2010, and it was an episode, like, it was something on Discovery. I can't recall exactly what it was called. I'd never seen it before, 2 hours long. And they featured the Sierra sounds, that whooping sound that Drawing Moore had recorded.
Yeah.
And what ended up taking place was, I'm watching this and I'm concluding, it was like, something's got to be going on. It's got to be. So about 3 weeks later, we're out at camp, and it's a designated campground in the Ocala National Forest. And
what state was that?
I'm sorry?
What state was that?
Florida.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're in the Ocala National Forest, and we've been there, probably 5 or 6 years now. Had no idea anything's going on.
How many people?
There was me, my son, and a friend of mine, Rob.
Okay.
There was 3 of us. Now, it's at an active campground. We weren't the only ones there. And so I bring the issue up one day when we're there, and I'm like, hey, man, what do you guys think about this? And Rob's like, you know, if you look at the maps, the world, most of the world is unpopulated, regardless of what we're told, how the world's overpopulated, which I think is complete bullshit, because you'll have pockets of lights, you know, Google Maps at night. Most of it's all dark. You know, you have pockets of cities, but by and large, man, the world is very unpopulated.
Mm-hmm.
And he points out, you know, it's very possible these things could exist. And I brought up my issue where, you know, what I pointed out was what I've already said. Why would people do this just to suffer ridicule? It makes no sense. Something's got to be going on. So that night, one of these people, and they are people,
Mm-hmm.
let loose with this whooping sound, and it went whoop, 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 whoop. And it did it for like 10 seconds. And I know that sounds like a long time. Now, mind you, we're not the only ones around. Everyone's hearing this about 4 o'clock in the morning. And it's going for so long. I'm thinking to myself, I wish this thing would shut up so I could talk to my son. And finally, you know, we're sleeping in the same tent together. He's 16 years old. And finally it stops. And I whispered over to my son, Donovan, are you awake? And he goes, yeah. I was like, did you hear that? He goes, yeah. I was like, what the F was that? Because it was so loud and powerful, you could feel it.
Oh, wow.
So if it was one of us down the way just making noise, I would have just thought it was, you know, just somebody. But it was close enough to where you could feel the power of the sound. And we're sitting there, and he's like, I don't know, but what do you think it was? And I was like, well, dude, I think we just heard a Sasquatch. And he goes, really? What do we do? And I was like, well, I've never heard of them being violent towards humans. And at that point in time, I hadn't. I said, so I'm going back to sleep. So, and I'm sitting there for a few moments, and I'm like, dude, I just saw a documentary 3 weeks ago talking about this sound. And here we are hearing it. And I said that as far as in 2010, scientists claim that they don't know what animal makes that noise. And here we are hearing it. So I went back to sleep. And the next morning, people are talking about what happened. It's like, dude, did you hear that? Yeah, I heard it. Woke everybody up. Years go on, and I started listening to YouTube videos. And me being a truck driver, I'm driving alone at night, getting kind of bored. I'm like, I wonder if there's any channels out there dedicated to Bigfoot. So I started listening to these channels. And lo and behold, I'm hearing people talk about multiple encounters. I'm like, come on. This has got to be bullshit. Okay, when we realized Bigfoot exists, for me it was okay. Another government lie exposed. Big deal. They real. I figured it's an animal going through the area, probably close to extinct. You know, I'm still thinking they're an animal at this point in time. Had no clue what's really going on. So I'm listening to these videos, and people are talking about multiple encounters, and I noticed there was two things going on in these conversations. The attitude was, I don't give a shit if you believe me or not. This is what happened. The other thing I noticed was where the locations were. Wildlife management areas, nature preserves, Indian reservations, national forests, and sometimes military bases. I'm like, wait a minute, this is all government protected property. The government's got to know something's going on. Then I started thinking about my situation. These people are talking about multiple encounters. I'm like, you know what? I think maybe one of these things was calling out to another when we were there that night. And again, I was completely freaking wrong. That's not what was going on. So time goes on, and I'm convinced they're up there. I'm going to go back up there and try to see if I can discover or get more interaction, right? Because I'm listening to what people are saying. I went up there, had some friends with me, and we had some more stuff happen. Lo and behold, I'm like, holy crap, this is really happening. There was a point in time where my son and I went up there, and I spoke out into the woods, and like, Lord, if this is the Nephilim that I'm dealing with, would you please let them sound off so I know what I'm dealing with? Okay, so I heard that perspective at this point in time. Wasn't really buying into it, because you will hear stories of the Sasquatch, Edomites, helping us from time to time. Firefighters being rescued when being surrounded by blazes. People with broken legs being carried off the trails where they know people are at, so they can get picked up by us. So that's not Nephilim behavior. The Bible says that the Nephilim had evil in their heart continually. So, with that being said, I'm going out there, and we're getting more interaction. And I was leaving out apples. They grabbed one of the apples of the 6 that I left on this bench seat. They left a track. It was about a 10-inch. No, the track itself was in the shape of a rectangle, about 8 inches wide and about maybe, I'd say about 17 inches long. And it was just the rectangle shape. And it happened both nights. And I'd heard about that before. They'll leave like one print or one track as an indication that they're there. And lo and behold, I'm experiencing this. Time goes on. I bring people up there, and people know I don't lie. I'm a born again Christian. A lying tongue is an abomination of the Lord, right? So I try to keep my words as true as I can. because I don't want to piss off the Lord and get judged. With that being said, everything that I'm telling you is the truth. Again,
Gotcha.
a lying tongue is an abomination to the Lord. I'm not making this up so I can get judged tomorrow or next week or in a year. This
All
is
good,
what
man.
happened. Yeah. So with that being said, I brought somebody up there that wanted to kill one. At this point in time, we all thought they're animals, incredibly intelligent, but animals nonetheless.
Was your buddy
And
packing?
at the time, no, they were just going up there to investigate. And I argued on behalf of the Sasquatch creature. Like, I was like, dude, why would you want to kill one of these things when it did nothing to you? His response was just to prove to the world they exist. I'm like, all right, well, I can't argue with that, but okay. Well, after that event took place, these people backed off.
How
And in
come?
their good nature and not understanding what we were actually dealing with and what the Bible says about them, they knew we didn't know what we were messing with.
You mean the forest people backed off, or your buddies backed off?
No. The Edomites backed
Okay,
off.
okay.
All activity ceased.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I went up there with my son later on at a later date, and there was a particular spot where I would always walk back into the forest next to the lake, and I would take a leak there. And this is not a route traveled. Every year I had to relearn how to get back there because it would change, right? So I'd have to go around bushels of palm fronds and dart under the friggin' spider webs, that kind of stuff, and then I'd find a location, take my leak. And I don't know why I liked it there. It was kind of a cool setting. I'd take a leak and I'd leave. Well, after this event, I go back up there and I'm staying up all night. My intention is to stay up all night. I want to see one of these things, right? So nothing's going on, no evidence. It almost felt like it was empty now, like something had changed in the environment. So I go up there and I find in this spot where I used to take a leak that there was a memorial to somebody called Caveman, and it was a carved piece of wood. It was a piece of wood that was carved and said the word caveman in it. I actually have that wood up on my fridge, and I was thinking, based off of what people are saying, that they look like Neanderthal, and here's somebody carved in caveman, and there's this memorial that's been made to this individual. I'm thinking, shit, a military kill crew came in and took one of these things out, and it was actually upsetting to me. It's like, man, what happened here? But that's not actually what took place. Years go on. And I'm brokenhearted thinking that, we're being listened to on our phones. The TVs are watching us. I'm convinced that shit's going on. I mean, I'm sure you've experienced, we've all experienced it. We'll be talking about a topic. Now you got YouTube videos popping up on the topic that you were just talking about with a friend.
It's pretty creepy.
It is. It really is. And so we know we're being listened to. I figured, man, fucking military heard what was going on. They know the location, took one of these things out. And I was upset. And I never told anybody how brokenhearted I was, that maybe I was the cause of this. So time goes on, and I finally came across somebody who was talking about living with Bigfoot. The grandfather could speak 3 different Indian broken languages, and they could communicate with the Bigfoot that they called Fox. And Fox claims that they're an ancient people, and one of their ancient ancestors was Esau. And when she said that, I'm like, son of a bitch. They're not animals at all. These are the Edomites. She described how in the book of Jasher, Esau runs at Nimrod, who's also known as Gilgamesh, and he runs at him and cuts his head off with a sword. Well, the book of Jasher has been kept out of the Bible, even though the Bible endorses the book of Jasher. And I think the reason for this is so we can't figure out what's going on here, because this guy Nimrod, also known as Gilgamesh, all major cultures have some sort of history of this guy. He was a Nephilim king. He was the guy who started the Tower of Babel, which pissed the Lord off. God divided up our languages, and the Lord destroyed the Tower of Babel. Well, Esau has a problem with Nimrod. Nimrod's jealous of him because he's a better hunter. So Esau's getting tired of his mouth and decides one day to go ahead and do something about it. Nimrod shows up with 3 bodyguards, and Esau runs out of the bushes at him, cuts his head off with a sword, and turns around and kills the 2 bodyguards that were with him. The thing that's significant about this is that Nimrod and Gilgamesh are the same guy. And Mesopotamian, they don't know exactly how tall he was, but he was somewhere between 9 and 14 feet in height. So in order for Esau to run at him and cut his head off with a sword, means they were the same size. And I was like, son of a bitch, these aren't fucking animals. These are human beings. These are the Edomites.
Yep,
2 months later.
I've got that book of that whole family with Fox.
Oh yeah, okay. Yep. So about a month or two later, I come across the feed from you. Now it popped up in my phone. Talked to my buddy Ed because he's a hunter and he's been listening to your show. He goes, yeah, check that guy out. All right, I'll check it out. And lo and behold, here you are reading eyewitness accounts about people seeing giant, hairy human beings. And I'm like, son of a bitch, this is exactly what I need. And thank you to every one of you who went against the programming from the TV bullshit about them being animals and standing your ground and saying, hey, what I saw, it had the face of a human being. And on top of it all, they're good looking people.
Mm.
Can't tell you how many times I've heard that. So time goes on and I'm convincing myself these are human beings and I think they're still up there. Starting to hear about the supernatural things they can do. And I'm like, okay, because I'm fighting my animal programming at this point in time. Now I'm coming across people saying, yeah, they're humans. Oh, and by the way, they can do this and they can do that and they can do this. I'm like, okay. And I'm analyzing what's going on with myself. I'm like, Chris, can you really call these people crazy? Because they're already admitting they exist and they exist. Now they're saying, oh, by the way, they can do this and they can do that and they can do this and this and this. Are you really going to sit there and call them crazy? And I'm like, no, I'm talking to myself. No, I can't call them crazy. Something's got to be going on. So eventually I work up the courage with a buddy of mine, Joe. He was there with me during the time period when the hunter showed up. He was there that night. We all had things going on that night until the hunters showed up. When they
What
showed
kind
up,
of things?
Joe saw let me back up. I took everybody over to where I would take a leak and where the apples were taken. I did that. When we came back, there was a cardboard box cutout of a Craftsman toolkit that was placed by my Jeep door. And we all agreed that it was not there a few moments earlier when we had walked away and come back. And it was no wind at all. It had been raining up there so much because I had been watching the weather reports to see what these things are going through with the weather. And the sand on the ground was so saturated with water when you stepped on it, it would beat up around your shoe.
Mm.
And this piece of cardboard was bone dry.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm like, how can this even be in the area and it be bone dry? And I thought this is some sort of a gift that they gave. We all agreed that it was not here when we got out of the Jeep and was walking around because we congregated over my door. And then later on that night, Joe, my buddy Joe, he's a guy from work, he saw something that was low to the ground, about 6 feet long or so, and he said it was fast as hell. It darted into the bush. And I remember his reaction because he saw it. I remember him standing up and just peering instantly into the brush, trying to see something. And that situation will play later on when we figured out who they are. So I asked him to draw a silhouette of what he saw, and it did not look like an animal. I can't tell you what you were. I think that one of these things were low to the ground, like they get on all fours, and he saw one of them go on all fours into the brush. I think that's what he saw. Somebody else saw the shadow, a shadow in the trees, and it kind of like veered back like this out of the way.
Oh yeah.
There was a growling sound heard, and we backed off. And that was pretty much, if I remember correctly, that's about all that had taken place when the hunters showed up. Now, mind you, they weren't armed, looking to do anything. They just wanted to scout the area, see what it was like. And once they showed up, all activity ceased.
Intent.
Yeah. So it was that way for a couple of years. Like I said, when I figured out who they are, me and Joe, we ended up going out there, and I bought a bullhorn off of Amazon. And all I was wanting to do was say, hey, guys, I figured out who you are, and apologize. That's all my intention was. To understand at this point in time, they've got abilities on some degree that we don't have, although there was no confirmation of it. Obviously, they've got abilities we don't have. So I went out to the same location with my buddy Joe, broad daylight, and I projected this message into the woods with this bullhorn. And I said, I know you're a type of people. I know that you're human beings. I know you're the Edomites. Esau was the first of your kind. I'm sorry if I made you feel threatened. No one that I know is hunting you. And to my knowledge, the hunters never went back up there looking for anything. They were just there the one night. So Did that 3 times that day. Joe and I packed up and we left. And again, my intention was just to say, hey guys, I figured out who you are and I'm sorry. That's all it was. Only to find out later on from reading the Bible, they weren't afraid of us. They were afraid for us because I had no idea what the Bible says is going on in regards to these people. And you call bullshit on these military kill crews, people killing them, dude, you are absolutely right. Nobody is killing these people.
Nobody's given me any evidence yet.
They're not. I've got more information to get you. It'll take a little bit to get there. And there is a picture that I'd like to see that I'm going to send you so you can understand what these people can do. And I would love to get what you think as time goes on, as your brain processes what you see in this picture. Because I've noticed you are a clever fucking man. Your argument on the zoo infrasound, I thought was brilliant. How, hey, if this is an infrasound issue, how come there aren't any signs at any zoo, anywhere, warning, hey, if you suddenly feel impending doom, it's because an animal's roaring or an elephant's trumpet or something's going on with infrasound from one of the animals. Dude, I thought that was gorgeous when you said that.
Well, it's an easy excuse to jump on board with, right? It's easy. Once the crowd starts to echo the same thing, it's easy to chime in.
Exactly. But I thought that was a brilliant take on the infrasound discrediting of the infrasound issue, because you're absolutely right. No zoo anywhere has any warnings of this topic going on. So something else is happening when this takes place with us. So I don't know exactly how long it was, but I was working. I've let them know, hey, I know who you are. And I'm working early morning into the daytime. So I'm getting up right around 4 o'clock going to work, and I'm walking outside and I hear this sand crane call coming from my neighborhood. Now I live in city in a subdivision, and there's some woods about maybe two streets over. So you got a section, my house, a section of houses, another section of houses, a street, and then another section of houses. And then you got woods. I'm hearing these sand crane calls at like 4 or 4:30 in the morning, and it's loud. And I'm like thinking to myself, man, I feel sorry for those people, because there's no way they're sleeping through this. There's no way. This is going on for 2 or 3 weeks, and I never picked up on what was going on here until later on, after I started spending time with these people and they started showing me some of the things they can do. I'll get to that in a moment. At some point, my buddy Rob, who was with me the night with the whooping sound, this was back in 2010. This is a few years later. I want to say it was right around 2023 or 2022 when this happened. Joe and I were out there in the month of September. I figured if they want to interact with us again, they'll wait for us to come back when the cold fronts come through in Florida. That's when we go camping. We always go to the same spot. Well, dude, they didn't do that. They wanted to interact now. And what they did was, I think that they were doing the sand crane call, letting me know, hey, we're good to go if you want to come back up. I wasn't picking up on it. Had they done that whooping sound, I would have known right away, here they are. And it would have confirmed what people have been saying, is that they could find you no matter where you're at. Be careful what you do with them. And lo and behold, holy shit, we found out that one's a fact. So my buddy Rob, he's on a bike ride in November. So this is 2 months after the, hey, I know who you are. I know your type of people. 2 months later, he's texting me at 5 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. He's on a bike ride, and he's around Lake Apopka on the West Orange Trail. And again, this is in city areas. And he's going by some woods on the bike trail, and it's 5 o'clock in the morning. He's the only one out there, and he sends me this text, holy shit, you're not going to believe this. Call me right away, blah, 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 blah. So I wake up to this text. I'm like, what? I gave him a call. Like, dude, what's going on? He said, you're not going to believe this. And he started telling me on his bike ride. He said, of course, no one's around. He hears this heavy breathing, gargling, and all of a sudden, there's just an explosion of force going through these trees, wood line. Sounds like a linebacker just getting it. And he goes, man, I heard that same sound from Ocala. I'm like, what do you mean you heard the same sound from Ocala? That same whooping sound. You mean the short whoop followed by the long whoop? He goes, yes, the same fucking sound. I'm like, oh, shit. I was like, dude, this might have something to do with what Joe and I did back in September. And he goes, what did you do? And I told him, I was like, well, dude, I went up there and said, hey, I know you're a type of people. I gave him the speech that I told you, that I told everybody here about what I had said through the bullhorn. And I said, man, I figured if they want to interact with us again, let's wait for us to go up there. But son of a bitch, dude, I've been hearing for a couple of years they can find you no matter where you're at. How in the hell are they able to do this? And so I'm thinking about what's going on, and suddenly this situation got quite serious. You know, you discover Bigfoot's real, giggle, giggle, ha, ha. Time goes on, you start getting a little pissed off. Why aren't we being told about this? Right? And then now I'm finding out the supernatural shit they can do. I just experienced one of them. They can find you no matter where you're at. Be careful what you do with them. So time goes on, and I'm thinking about going up there. And I thought, you know what? I don't know what they can and can't do, and I don't want this individual hanging out in our area, because I'm thinking they're darting around from pockets of locations, middle of the night, you know, hiding behind houses and shit when it's dark out, trying to get to us. And how they're able to get to you, I did not know at the time. How they can find you, got no clue how they're able to do it. But this is what's going on in my thinking of mind. And what I can say to everybody is, if you dig into this topic and you hear about these things, take what you think you know about reality and toss it out the window. It does not apply to these people at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm waiting for this individual to go back up to Ocala, because I don't want them getting messed with by our people down here if they come across them. And so a year goes by, and I'm like, you know what, man, my best opportunity to talk to these people, I got to be by myself. And I know nothing of their culture. At this point in time, I have not dug into the Bible yet to find out what's going on with them. And so I go up there. And dude, I called out to them, Edomites, Edomites, Edomites. Boom, right away they started interacting again. I'm walking along talking, my name is this is where I live. If you need anything, just let me know. All you got to do is, I'm sorry, I got something coming through. Anyway, let me know if you need anything at all. And this is how you find me. I told them how to get to where my house is, described it to them if they ever need anything. And I'm walking and talking, and I hear one of them moving along in the brush like you've always heard, right? So I stopped talking, I stopped walking, and they stopped. I started talking and walking. They started moving again through the brush. And I went ahead and put some apples over where the memorial of the caveman was. And what I concluded about what that was one of them carved the word caveman in the wood and let me know this situation is dead. We're done with you.
What?
I
No
think that,
shit. You think so?
I think that's what they were portraying to let me know. So I'm not out there wasting my time looking for what I think is Bigfoot. I think that's what that message was. It was for me.
Right.
So is everything all right?
Hold on. Give me one. Did you say you had something coming through on your phone?
Yeah, I did.
Give me 1 second, because this happened before, and then I think it's still recording, but it stops your end, and I keep talking, and it sucks. So let me stop and refresh. Hold on a sec.
No problem, dude.
I don't find out till later on. Then all of a sudden, here I am talking by myself for half an hour. Oh.
Well, if we got to redo this, not a problem, because I do want the people to at least hear this perspective. You can take it or leave it. Don't give a shit. Telling you what happened to me in my situation, how things changed when I acknowledged who they actually are.
Yeah, it's going, man. Let it rip.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm out there that night, and I'm talking to them. You know, I'm not getting any response. And just so you can know now, as I continue on, the only thing they've ever said to me was when I asked, after 8 months of begging for a conversation to find out, what is anyone like you? Is anyone hunting you? Who's doing it? Do you need any help? Are you guys hungry? Do you need food? Anything. It occurred to me one night to ask, are you allowed to speak to me? And one of them said no. And I'm like, what the hell is going on?
I gotta say no.
How did they say it? I'm glad you asked. Very clever. At this point in time, they had shown me that they make owl sounds, okay? Right? Which I'm sure you probably heard stuff that's kind of, you know, like, well, it sounds just like an owl, but that owls don't necessarily behave like that. Well, picture an owl sound going, whoo. Instead, it's going, no. Have you ever heard an owl say the word no? That's what they had done. It's like I said, at this point in time, they had been using pattern recognition with me to show me how they operate so I could tell when it's them. Usually making insect sounds, bird call sounds is typically what they've used. In this particular case, like I said, they'd already shown me that they make owl sounds as well. And this owl says, no, but it sounded just like an owl saying the word no.
So you nighttime or daytime when this is going down?
This was nighttime. And I'm going to get to some daytime stuff too. Don't worry about that. Daytime don't freaking matter. It don't matter with these people. Yeah. So I'm up there this first night, and I'm just begging for conversation. I'm sitting there in the dark because I'm figuring that they're like you and I. They're just really good at hiding. They're naked, you know. I want them to come up, but you know they don't need to worry about me seeing their Johnsons. And I hear one coming from my right, one coming from my left, and they're at this point in time. I know now that they're purposely making these sounds so I can hear them coming because they're multidimensional. I don't give a damn what anybody says. They're standing around us, watching you put up trail cameras, listening to your whispers. Mind you, they can read our minds. They showed me that 2 years after spending time with them. And I'll tell you that story. And I'm stop people with spending all this money on trail cameras. They're watching you standing right next to you in another dimension. You don't know they're there. And not only is your whispering pointless because they can read our minds, that shit's all true. So please save your money. If you want to discover this issue, go out there and do what I did. Call them out for who they are. They're the Edomites.
But you
Sit
know
and
what,
wait to
though?
see what happens.
At this stage of the game, when you come across various personalities, at this stage of the game with the available knowledge due to the people,
Yeah.
if you're still adamant about using trail cameras banging on trees, you're not going to stop.
Dude, it's shit.
Not
Hey,
gonna stop.
all I gotta say is if I didn't say something based off of what I've learned from these people, it wouldn't make me a good person in my mind. Yeah, I gotta say, knock it off. Save your money. Go make a friend. They want to actually be a part of our lives. I'll get to that in a bit. I believe the reason why they do what they do is they are concerned for our safety. We don't know what the Bible says about them and what's going on and how they're being protected. And they know that most of us don't have a clue what the Bible says, especially about them. And so they're afraid that if you cross these lines with them, they're going to be let loose by the Lord and they're going to come after us. And they don't want to see us get hurt. Like my situation, they backed off because they knew we did not understand what we were messing with. That was their first major act of kindness that I experienced with these people. And with that being said, before I forget, if my twat comes out and I start tearing up because of some of these things that they've done with me, when I think about I don't want to say ramifications, the significance of learning how profound these people are and how they've shown me kindness and understanding, and they've done things that made me laugh. When I'm by myself, man, I start tearing up because it's like, who am I that you would even pay me any mind? I'm nobody.
Right.
And it's actually quite touching to experience how kind these people actually can be. With that being said, this night, I've got one coming to my right. This is the first night, one coming to my left. And 20 feet away from me, there's a bushel of palm fronds. And it's dark out. And I'll let them know, by the way, I've got a Glock 20 on me, 10 millimeter. You know, this is where it's at. This is not for you. This is in case if any bears, mountain lions, or hogs show up. If I need to defend myself, I let them know right away I got a gun on them. Not realizing later on, it don't matter. Guns don't hurt them. So with that being said, all of a sudden there's a ruckus going on in this bushel of palm fronds. And I'm getting excited. Holy shit, I'm getting ready to meet an Edomite. So I stand up and I'm waiting. And this ruckus is going on. I'm like, wait a minute. What if this is a bear, a mountain lion, or a hog? Because I don't spend time in the woods like you do as a hunter. I don't understand the behavioral patterns of most animals. I'm virgin in that territory. So I end up ducking behind the spare tire of my Jeep, and I'm looking at this bushel of palm fronds, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, what if it's one of these animals? So I said, guys, if this is you making that noise, would you please stop? It's kind of freaking me out. My imagination is running wild. I'm thinking you might be a bear, mountain lion, or hog, and I don't want to shoot one of you people on accident. So please, would you stop? A couple moments later, they stopped. I sat down again behind my Jeep, and I said, you know, guys, I don't mind you coming in and hanging out. That's awesome. But would you do something to let me know it's you coming, like heavy footfall, whoop, you know, some sort of mild whoop, something. Just let me know it's you coming, because I really don't want to hurt one of you people on accident. And so with that being said, I'm talking, getting no response for conversation. I decided a month later, I'm going to start going up there once a month on the first Saturday of every month and just spending a few hours with them. So the next time I went, I got this big ass bin of food, stocked it up with 36 cans of Dinty Moore. I don't know if you've ever had Dinty Moore before, but it's a decent store-bought stew. It's probably the best store-bought. Yeah, it's in a can. So I bought 36 cans of that stuff, and it's got the pop top because, again, I'm thinking they're more like us when they're not. Their cans don't make a shit difference to them. I could have brought the big ones. They would have got at it, no problem. So I put like 2 pounds, 3 pounds of carrots, apples, bread, and I'm taking this bin of food back in the forest. And I'm like, man, it sure would be nice if I could get some help here. I hear you people are pretty strong. And I hear off to my right, this bush, some shaking of the bushes going on, right? And I don't want to look, because I'm thinking they're naked back there. I don't want to actually see their nakedness, right? Because they're people. So I'm not looking. And this thing's heavy. I put it down to catch my breath. I pick it back up, move another 30 feet. Sure would be nice if I could get some help here. And again, the bushes start doing a little bit of shaking. And I think they were telling me, dude, set it down. We'll get it, right? So I found a spot that I liked that was out of the way. If people walk by, they're not going to see it. And I'm telling them what's inside. I decide to go ahead and head back over. Now I'm playing them music and I'm acting like a cheesy DJ, right? I'm playing them heavy metal, pop songs, songs that are good songs. You don't have to be a music enthusiast to enjoy these songs. Just they're ear catching right away. Like, for instance, Steel Hearts, I'll Never Let You Go. I don't know if you've ever heard that song. Fantastic song. Beautiful lyrics, beautiful love song. And I'm sitting there acting like a cheesy DJ. Okay, this is for you husbands and wives and you lovers out there, you boyfriends and girlfriends, and I'm playing the music.
Right.
At some point in time, I said to them, guys, I know a lot of people who take the name of the Lord Jesus Christ in vain and they deny his existence with the same mouth. And I said, as you people know, the Bible says their mouth testifies against them. And I said, you people are linked directly to the Bible. Is it okay if I bring people up here to meet you? Because maybe some of them will start reading the Bible. Maybe some of them will humble themselves and repent and become born again Christians. Is it okay if I do this? And I will warn them, if they do anything to try to harm one of you people, I will help you guys find them, not even realizing they don't need me for shit.
Right.
Right. But I'm just putting forth good faith. Hey, I'm going to help you guys out if you need it. And I said, would you guys just give me one thing? Well, mild whoop doesn't need to be loud and powerful. Just let me know if it's okay if I do this. And basically what I'm asking these people to do is be a witness to others that the Bible is true, because they are linked directly to the Bible. And I said, they can't deny your existence if you let them know that they're real. Later on that night, they started showing me how clever they are. And they also started showing me how they listen to what we say. Like, for instance, I told them if they leave the bin, I'll keep coming back and restocking when I come back up here to visit you once a month. I'd already said once a month I want to come up here and hang out with you guys if it's okay. Well, I came back a month later, and the bin was gone. And I was kind of pissed off because they took it. I was expecting them to leave it. But what they were telling me, which I wasn't picking up on, was, dude, if you said if you want us to leave it, you'll restock it. We took it because we don't want you restocking it, right? That's what I should have taken from it. But, I got my own desires of the situation. I'm helping to feed some Bigfoot. Cool as shit, right? The Edomites. And eventually I did stop because I realized they just don't want me feeding them. So back to this situation, I asked, this is when they started showing me how clever they are. That night, it's about 8:00 in the evening. It was Christmas Eve, 2022, I believe it was. And it was cold that night down here in Florida. And I'm out there, and the intent is, again, looking for conversation. I want to find out what's going on. And right around 8:00, I hear these two dogs about 100, 200 yards away just start woof, 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 woof. And all of a sudden, I hear this other dog bark. And it sounds just like a dog bark, but the projection was like nothing I've ever heard before. And it goes, rah. And it sounded just like a dog bark. And those two dogs shut up, and I did not hear them anymore that night. That was the one thing they gave me. It's okay to bring people up here to meet us. Okay, so 9:00 rolls around, and it's dead quiet. And remember, I asked them to give me one thing, so they're not doing anything else. They don't want me to misinterpret what they were getting across. And so it's cold as shit, and it's dead quiet. I'm like, man, if they're gone, I'm going home, because it's friggin', for Florida, it was cold.
Right.
And I didn't have a fire going because I'm wanting them to come in and sit down and have a conversation. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm thinking the light, they might stay away because, again, they're naked. And I'm sitting there, and I just asked, hey, guys, are you still around, or am I here by myself? 50 feet off to my right, I hear some shuffling in the brush going on. And I said, okay, if that was one of you people to my right, over to my left, I've got a bin about 30 yards away. I rattled off the contents again. And 50 feet to my left, I hear letting me know that they got the food. And this is one of those moments when I'm by myself and I start thinking about the significance of that moment. These incredibly powerful, amazing people were kind enough to let me know, hey, little man, we're still here. You're not alone. Dude, when I'm starting getting up, when I'm by myself, man, I start tearing up. It's just, who the fuck am I that you would pay me any mind?
Hmm.
That was another one of those moments where they showed me kindness and said, nah, dude, we're still here with you, man.
Hmm.
That night, I went to bed in my Jeep, sleeping in it, and had the windows rolled down a little bit and said, hey, if you guys want to talk, could you mind grabbing the steel bumpers and don't touch the body because the metal's flimsy as shit. I know you guys are super powerful. Please don't dent the vehicle. They never did anything, but I did hear a little kid do this little, little cute baby giggle. He goes,
Really?
I hear that. So I'm like, okay, I know they got kids, right? So time goes on. 2 weeks later, I go back up there with my buddy Rob, and we're going to go camping with them. And we stopped off where I gave them the bin of food, and I walked back there. That's when I discovered the bin's gone. So I'm like, what the fuck, guys? I thought you're going to leave it. And they were letting me know, don't feed us. They took the bin so that I would know not to feed them. But I'm not even listening to what I'm saying to them and I explained to them, guys, if I end up contradicting myself in conversation with y'all, it's hard to keep track of what I'm saying when I'm talking to a tree because it's easy for me to put a face to what I'm saying. I know I've said this to this person. So for me to keep track of what I'm saying to you is quite difficult because I'm looking at trees and bushes, right? So I'm not paying attention to the details. And as time has gone on, I try to maintain, hey, pay attention to what you say to them because they're listening. So in this particular moment, we're walking back and I've got some apples and bread for them. And the bin's gone. So I laid down a tarp to put the food on because I know they're people and I'm not going to sit there and leave food like they're an animal, right? So I'm taking some care in what's being done here. And we're walking back and I see these two big piles of crap. Now picture the two piles are nearly identical. The turds are about 3 inches in diameter, about 8 inches long, and then it went into a pile of mush. And I could see where what they were eating in the natural to the point where what the Dinty Moore was and they let me know that they ate the food. And this is how they said, thank you. We ate the food. And I said, and I yelled out loud, you people are effing awesome. Thank you for letting me know you got the food. I would have rather gotten a thank you, but I'll take this. Right. And my buddy Rob's with me and we're looking at this mess. And I was like, dude, you're like 6'2" and you're a big guy. What's the biggest crap you've ever taken? And he goes, you mean diameter wise? I'm like, yeah. He goes, man, it was a good shit. And I'd say it's probably about 1.5 inches. And I said, would you say that that's about a 3-inch diameter? He goes, oh yeah, easily. I said, so let's see. All things being equal, 6 foot tall, 1.5 inch turd, 12 foot tall, 3-inch turd.
Yeah. Was that between you guys in the vehicle on the trail you walked in on?
We pull in and there's a designated area that's now been shut down. So we're on the edge of that. We walk down a path that may have been something at one point in time, but it's now all grown over. So we walk down this area where the bin's at. On the way back is when I noticed what they had done. So we didn't even notice it on the way in. It was on the way out where we picked up on what was happening. So we're talking, 30 yards from vehicle to where the bin used to be at this point in time and what had taken place. So on the way back, we saw the evidence of them getting the food, and I thanked them. And I said, hey, guys, we're going to go try to find a place in the forest to camp. And we had been there. I believe we were there a couple weeks earlier, just kind of scouting the area. And there was a place we saw. So we went ahead and just poked our vehicle into the woods, and started camping about 100 yards off the main dirt road. It's really a dirt road. I'm sorry. Any Honda Civic can get down this road. Okay, we're not out climbing over boulders out in the middle of nowhere. These people are not isolated to these forests. Just so you guys understand, they're not. So we found a spot, set up camp, and I don't remember anything going on that night. But my buddy Rob, he takes a trip on foot about 100 yards back and found a better spot. And he goes, Chris, man, you got to check this place out. I think you might want to move camp. I'm like, all right, let's go check it out. And dude, this thing is just an awesome natural camp spot. We call it Xanadu because it's such a beautiful spot. It's just odd in the forest. And so we moved our gear up to this location about 100 yards away. So now we're about 200 yards from the road. So we're back there having a good time. We're setting up camp, and he notices a tree that's just waving back and forth really hard. And he goes, "Did you see that?" I'm like, "Wow, what happened?" "There was a tree that's just waving really back and forth really hard." I'm like, "Yeah, it's probably just the Edomites letting us know they're here. No big deal." So later on that night, we're going to bed, and I hear behind my tent this rodent coming in, and it's scurrying around making rodent noises. And I said, "Is that one of you Edomites behind my tent? If that is, have a good night. I'm going to be going to sleep." And all night long, Steve, this rodent never left the back of my tent. It's making this rodent kind of grunting, squeaking noise, scurrying around the deadfall is what it sounds like. And I would wake up periodically through the night, and that rodent was still behind my tent. At some point in the night, I had some gas building up. I'm like, all right, this is going to be a good one. And I let it rip. And I hear a woman stifle her laugh behind my tent. I hear,
What? No shit.
yeah, yep. And I went back to sleep. And my buddy, in the morning time, he goes, "Hey, dude, how'd you sleep last night?" I'm like, "Dude, I slept great. I think one of their women was watching over me last night." He goes, "Really?" Told him what had taken place. And he walks behind my tent as the sun came up about 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. And he's looking around, and he goes, "Chris, come here, check this out." And he takes me back about 50 feet away, and there's another turd that has the same contents of the bigger turds we saw the day before, where you could see what they were eating in the wild. They're eating the same kind of diet. And it was the same contents, but this one was not as big as the other ones. Still bigger than something I could do, maybe you could do, but it was nowhere near the size of the other ones. And I was like, "Dude, I told you, man, one of their women was watching over me all night. How cool is that?" Right? So we ended up leaving. We said our goodbyes. And about 2 weeks after that, I took up a husband and wife by the name of Stacy and Alex. Stacy has always had an interest in the subject. I told them what's going on. They know I'm not somebody who makes shit up. And so they wanted to go up there and discover this for themselves. Now, I told them, "You guys are the litmus test. I think this was the okay with the dog bark. And you're the first ones. Let's see what happens." Because Rob had already been involved with this. He already knows they exist. He was there with the whooping sound, so they were used to him. I'm thinking they got to get used to you. Dude, they don't need to get used to you. Just put all that shit out of your mind, because that's not what's going on with these people. So what ended up taking place was I took Alex and Stacy up there. And as soon as we get there, you hear this branch break off to the right. I'm going back in the woods with a new bin of food, and Alex and Stacy added to it. And we had this thing packed for them. All sorts of stuff. 36 cans of Dinty Moore. Again, I know that they at least ate it. Hopefully they liked it. So we come back, and I said, "All right, hey guys, this is Alex and Stacy." And I warned them, these are the Edomites. I know you sound silly talking to trees, which Stacy brought that up. I said, "Yeah, I know, they're listening." And I said, "Look, they're human beings, they're not animals. If you piss them off, they're going to come after you. And just so you know, I'm going to help them find you." Again, I didn't realize they don't need me for shit. So Alex introduces himself, Stacy introduces herself, and we're sitting there. And Alex and I both are truck drivers. And they're doing this rumble strip. We call them rumble strips when a vehicle is the side of the road that rah to wake you up. Okay, so you hear this sound going periodically through the noise, and the main road is about 3 miles away. And I say, "Are there that many shitty drivers on the road today that they're hitting the rumble strips this often?" And Stacy goes, "Well, according to Alex, there are." Right. And then we realized later on that it was them mimicking the rumble strip sound. And I think they were doing that for Alex because they had done something similar with me before when I was there by myself, not picking up on what they're doing. So Stacy starts going on about what she's got going on at the house. She's got this sanctuary for flying squirrels. And apparently they're very small, about the size of your hand. And she was talking about this sound that they make when you walk into the room, and she calls it stranger danger. And it's warning the other squirrels that something's going on. While she's talking, she realizes, "Oh, that's the sound right there." And Alex goes, "Wait a minute. This has been going on for 5 minutes, and I had heard it too. I just didn't recognize what it was." And it was them mimicking the sound of these squirrels that she was talking about. But she didn't describe how it sounded. She just said, this is the sound that they make, and described how what she calls it is stranger danger. But they knew what she was talking about, and they were mimicking it. And Alex goes, yeah, I guess it could be a flying squirrel if it's like the size of a raccoon. And these things only do it for like maybe 20 seconds, not for 5 minutes. And he, like I said, he was correct. It was going on for about 5 minutes because I heard it. I just didn't know what it was.
It was dark or daylight?
Daylight, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, broad daylight. And I said, well, Stacy, think about it. They can hear the love that you have for these little things. You talked about this stranger danger sound. They're probably doing that for you because they know you love these little animals. And she goes, oh, thank you. I appreciate it. And then the sound stopped. Later on that night, they went on a walk trying to find stuff, and she found a cluster of hair. And it was clearly their hair. Alex is like, no, that's moss. And I grabbed a strand of hair and like wound it around my fingers and pulled it. I'm like, look, dude, this is tight. This is not moss. It's not breaking apart. This is some hair. Well, Stacy wanted to take it home. I'm like, look, Stacy, would you mind just leaving it? They don't know what you're going to do with it. And I don't know what your intentions are, and Alex says, look, Stacy, it's just optics. So just go ahead and leave it, which we went ahead and left this cluster of hair for them to do what they wanted with. Now, they were just walking around, happened to find it. And nighttime comes, and they started up doing this activity of if you can picture just an animal going through the brush, but it's being like purposely noisy. Like you should be seeing leaves shaking and palm fronds being moved, but you're not seeing any of that. You're just hearing the sound. And so we got that going on all around us. And then at one point in time in front of us, if you can picture I'd say about 25 yards away, it gets thick again with brush and trees. If you could picture what would sound like a 500-pound black bear just getting after a rodent that's barely getting away, and this black bear wants this rodent, if you can imagine what that might sound like. And there's just a ruckus of sound. I'm laughing because this is kind of similar to what they did to me before. Alex is just watching what's going on, and Stacy is behind this barricade, and she says, I'm so freaked out, I think I'm going to cry. And she's got like her face from the nose up, peeking over this barricade, watching what's going on, and it was them doing this stuff for them. At one point in time, I left to go down to the highway to hit rumble strips with my Jeep to see if we could hear the rumble strips with me doing it. I left them there. I came back, and I asked them, could you hear the Jeep? Nope, couldn't hear it. Okay, so it was them making the rumble strip sound. So when I pull up, and when we'd established that they could not hear the sound, and Alex goes, check it out. Stacy got them to make a whooping sound. And she's going, whoop, and they're going, whoop. But it's a very mechanical sound. Every time she did it, they would respond back. And it wasn't loud and powerful, but it was definitely an unusual sound. And so as time went on, I said, Alex, it made me realize if they had done that much with me by myself, I would have thought, holy shit, they don't want me around. I'm getting the fuck out of here. And I would have hauled ass out of there. Hey, guys, I don't know what I did to piss you off. If you see me in the area, I love camping. I'm not here to bother you. You guys take care. And I realized how gentle they are with me when I'm by myself, because they know if they had done something like that, I would have left and never came back again, most likely. But it was awesome to have this stuff going on around us. It was incredible. As we were talking, Stacy said something that made me say, I would like to get more people involved because I'm sure they could use the food. When I said that bin of food never got touched, and it was there for months.
Really?
I think they were showing me, dude, we don't need the food. Everything that could rot, rotted. Eventually, I took the Dinty Moore cans home with me because they would not eat anything that I left of that bin.
But were they still around then?
Oh, yeah, because I'd been kept going up there by myself.
Right.
Every time I go, they always do something to let me know that they're still there. Because they're multidimensional, there's no way to tell unless they allow it to happen. Like, if you know they exist, it's because they allowed you to know that they are real.
Yeah.
That's the only way this is happening. You're not fooling them. You're not tricking them. I know that you like to say that maybe the water might do something with their senses and you can kind of sneak up on them. Dude, I disagree, dude. If you know they're there, if you've seen them, if you've experienced them, it's because they allowed it to happen. And you'll understand as I get further on into my situation and I bring up my sister and what's going on with her. So with that being said, From that point, I'd gone up there, playing them music, just going up there to hang out, spend time with them. Eventually, 8 months into it, which, by the way, they like Pantera, which I figured they would because of how they can mimic any sound. I don't know if you've ever heard any Pantera or not. Dimebag Darrell loves to do these guitar squeals, and I figured they would like that because they can hit those notes anyway, just based off of the bird sounds that they're doing. And started playing them that. Oh, let me back up. You'll enjoy this one. At some point in time, I'm playing yours and David Paulides' videos because I don't know if they know what's being said about them. Right about this same time, you had talked about how you started getting more activity. That's when I tried emailing you for the first time saying, hey, dude, what I'm doing down here might be affecting what's going on with you. So I'm playing your videos. You're reading reports from the emails. I'm playing David Paulides. And I remember I was playing David Paulides' Bigfoot Class 101. And this bird is going chirp, whistle, whistle, chirp, whistle, whistle, chirp, whistle, whistle. And it sounds just like a bird. Okay. There's no way to tell if it's them or not. And it's going on for 30 minutes and it won't stop. And I'm sitting there thinking, I guess you guys don't give a shit what David has to say today. So I started whistling back thinking this has got to be one of you people doing this. So I started whistling back, but all I can do is the whistle part. That's all I can do because I can't mimic the chirp like they're doing. And so we're going back and forth. All of a sudden it gets technical and I busted out laughing. I can't do that. It's too technical. So they went back to chirp, whistle, whistle, chirp, whistle, whistle, chirp, whistle, whistle. And so we're going back and forth. Later on that night, I hear the same sound. Now it's nighttime. I hear the same sound coming down from the lake. So I'm going back and forth with that dude. All of a sudden, it transfers over to my right 50 feet away, and it's an instant transfer. There's no deviation in time, pitch, sound, nothing. It's like boom, boom. Now it's over here. I'm like, wow, that was a fast transition. He's doing it for a few moments. All of a sudden, it goes to my left, and one of these people are right there, and it's loud as shit. Chirp, whistle, whistle, chirp, whistle, whistle, but it sounds just like the other sounds. And I start busting out laughing. I'm spinning around. I'm like, that is so cool. That's awesome. And it's loud as shit. And then it transfers across the road, and there's somebody back there doing it. So I go to the road, and I'm going back and forth with this guy. And he's doing it just a little too fast, and I can't keep up. I'm like, man, you're doing it too fast. I can't do it that fast. And so he slows it down for me. So we're doing it back and forth, and he's slowly speeding it back up. I start laughing. I can't do it that fast. So he slowed it back down. Chirp, whistle, whistle, right? And then finally I gave up. I'm like, look, dude, I can't do it that fast. Hey, I got some apples for you guys over at the bin. So if you want them, go help yourself. And I hear that sound going down the road and then cutting across the road. And I'm assuming he went to go get some apples. I don't know. So this is significant because of what happens next. I told them, like I said, I want to come the first Saturday of every month and hang out with you guys. Well, I didn't realize that some Saturdays, the first Saturday is going to be 5 weeks away. Didn't realize that. So as the weeks wore on in this particular month, that Saturday came and went. I meant to say I said every 4 weeks I want to come back and visit you, thinking that the first Saturday would be the fourth week, not realizing some months will have a fifth week where the Saturday is the first Saturday. But my intention was the first Saturday. If I made that clear, I'm sorry if I screwed that up. So every 4 weeks I wanted to come visit them. Didn't realize that some months have 5 weeks. My intention was to be there on the first Saturday of every month. Well, that fourth week came and went because I didn't clarify what I was meaning when I said it. And I've got that sand crane call from that same spot as before a few years earlier. And I came out that morning to go to work and I'm like, there's the sand cranes again. And this went on for all week. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh shit, they're wondering what's going on. Why didn't I show up when I said I was going to show up in the fourth week? And so I was like, and I just spoke out loud, hey guys, it was my fault. I screwed up. I didn't clarify what I meant. I know I'm a shitty friend. I apologize. I'm coming up this Saturday. I go up there and I explained to him, hey, what I meant to say was the first Saturday of every month, thinking that would be every 4 weeks, not realizing that some months it'll be 5 weeks before that first Saturday rolls around. And I appreciate you guys coming and check up on me. I don't know if that was you guys or if you sent friends by, because I know that they're in the Green Swamp Ridgeloam area. You've read stories about that. I was taken out there, had some Bigfoot experiences before I knew they were the Edomites. That's 30 miles away from where I live. I thought maybe they sent some friends over to check up on me, see if I was okay, because I didn't show up. So I'm up there explaining myself, and I apologize. I know I'm a shitty friend. I made a mistake. But what I meant to say is the first Saturday of every month. And so what happened next is because of what I had said, where I didn't know if it was you guys or if it was because you guys sent friends by to check up on me. And I said, man, if you guys are concerned that maybe I forgot about you, I couldn't forget about you people if I tried. I think about you all the time. So with that being said, I'm up there that night, and I want to make sure I get this series of events correct. I'm up there now this night, and I've been asking them, as I've said, if you want to come in and hang out, just let me know it's you coming. Well, one of these people, an ATV was riding in, and it was loud as shit. And one of these people started moving from the lake coming at me. And just picture 8-inch logs being snapped and crushed while something's coming at you. It's pitch black. And I'm thinking this might be a bear, because I'd been out there before and seen a pretty large black bear in the area where this thing is coming from. And I'm thinking it might be this animal, because, again, I don't know animal behaviors. I don't know if a bear is going to do that or not. So I'm freaking out, and I get behind in front of my Jeep this time, and I'm eyeballing where the sound is going. It went to that same bushel of palm fronds that I've mentioned before. And I hear something kind of swoosh up inside. And if you can picture like somebody laying on their back, just kind of crushing shit, getting comfortable, that's what I'm hearing going on. And I'm getting ready to pull my Glock. And it's not a fear thing that I'm dealing with right now. I'm just so focused on this sound that's coming at me. I'm waiting for a bear to come charging out. Finally, this sound settles down. And I said, was that one of you people that just got up in the bushel of palm frond? Could you give me a little shuffle? And I hear a little shuffle. And I go down and I sit down. I was like, man, I cannot believe that y'all just did that shit to me. I wouldn't even know you people existed if you didn't allow it. And I know I've been asking for this to happen, but I also asked for some sort of indication that it's you coming. Heavy footfall, something, nothing. All I heard was a sound just charging at me. And dude, I've heard of people crapping themselves in some of these circumstances. And I didn't shit myself, but I noticed that I had to tighten up my sphincter again when all this was over. Because it was like, that's what was weird. I've heard the stories and it was funny to hear. And I'm thinking they were afraid. Dude, I was so focused on what was getting ready to happen. It was like my body was saying, we're getting ready to fight for our lives. And we don't need this energy down here right now. So if something happens, oh, well, us living is a little more important than that. And I thought that was really strange to find out that those people that lost control of their bowels, that was not necessarily a fear reaction. Their body was like, hey, we need this energy somewhere else because we're getting ready to start fighting for our lives. I'm thinking this is damn black bear coming at me. When I realized it wasn't, I sat down and, man, I was pissed. I was like, man, I can't believe you guys did this to me. What the hell? And I was aggravated. I've always stayed till about 11 o'clock, fighting the mosquitoes, bug spray, dealing with that shit. And they knew I was disgusted. It was dead quiet. I, begrudgingly said my goodbyes. I'll be back in 4 weeks, because I looked at my calendar, make sure that that's when it was going to be the next Saturday. And I left to go home. And you guys have a good night. I was just pissed. There was no friendliness about my goodbye at all. Got going. On the way home, I'm noticing these bird calls on my trek home. I would take these corners around these roads, and I'm like 70 miles away from this location. It takes me an hour and a half to get home at night when there's no traffic. And I'm noticing that in various points of my trip, I'm hearing these bird calls. I'm like, do they know my path home? I get to a point in time where I'm at a light and I'm by myself, and I hear this bird chirping off in a tree. And I've heard you say before, birds don't chirp at night. And so I'm like, okay, if this is one of you people, I'm not upset. I still love you guys. I'm going to be back up there in a few weeks. It's cool. I get home and I step out of my Jeep and I hear chirp, whistle, whistle, chirp, whistle, whistle, chirp, whistle, whistle. they were apologizing for upsetting me, and it was coming from the same location of the sand crane calls that I've mentioned before, same location. And I said, guys, it's cool. I'm not pissed at you. I love you. And as I analyzed that situation, I believe what they were showing me was it was specifically them who came by to check up on me to see if I was okay the month earlier when they were out there for that week with the sand crane calls, just seeing if I was good to go. And they wanted to show me that it was specifically them. They did not send friends by to check up on me. So from that point, and there's a lot, I apologize. From that point, every time I've gone up to spend time with them, now I know I'm forgetting something. Hang on a second.
Hey, was there ever any sign of all the empty tins of food or anything leftovers?
Nah, dude.
Nothing.
No, I don't know what they do with it. I couldn't tell you. Nothing. There was no evidence. I mean, I didn't go through the forest looking for stuff, but there was nothing. It was just completely gone.
Was there a lid on the bin or just open bin when you brought it?
There was a lid on the bin, and it was completely sealed. It was not locked or anything. Yes, of course, an animal could have got at it, but the bin itself, everything was just gone. There was no evidence that I left anything.
So you got to bring a new bin every time?
No. I'm sorry. If you're talking about the second bin, they started leaving that one there. And I would come back with apples and bread. You know, I don't know if you got a Publix where you guys are at, but they've got a Chicago style bread that's a really tasty bread. I would leave that with them. Sometimes they took it, sometimes they didn't. I'm like, guys, if you don't want me to feed you, would you stop feeding the animals? Because I don't really give a shit about them. I'm here for you.
So the bin would be there? Any of the plastic bags that was around the bread?
Yes. Yeah, the plastic bags would be there. I'd collect that and take it out.
Would it be not shredded or torn, no holes in it, nothing?
Sometimes it would be like somebody undid it. Sometimes it looked like an animal got it. That's why I was saying when it looked like an animal got it, I'm like, guys, if you don't want this stuff, I'll quit bringing it because it's costing me money.
Yeah,
I'm not going to feed the. For me, it was kind of an intimate moment because I'm giving them something and they're taking it. You know, it was something for me. It was something for me. You know what I mean?
But there's no empty tins ever.
No.
And no full ones.
No, they're with the second bin that never got touched with Alex and Stacy, there were 36 cans in there. I left those cans of Dinty Moore for months. Eventually, I just took them home, and they're in my storeroom right now. I eat from time to time. It's still good.
Right, but they'd taken those tins before that, though, right?
With the first batch, yes, but they took the whole bin with them. Yes, and I never saw what happened with that stuff, the bin or anything.
Wow.
Yeah.
How big is the bin? What kind of bin was it?
One of the more heavy duty ones that you buy from Walmart was about $20. It was about say
with that snap tight lid.
Yes, yeah, about yay deep, about maybe 3 feet deep, about maybe 3 feet in length, about maybe about a foot and a half wide, something like that.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah, so it was a pretty good sized container for me, and I would stock it pretty decent. I figured it should at least feed one of them. So when Stacy and Alex, like I said, came, they actually brought more to add to the second one that we had brought. And that was the one where I said, I would like to get more people involved. I'm sure they could use the food. And that bin, they didn't touch a damn thing. Everything that could have rotted. The cans that were Dinty Moore never got touched. And eventually, after months of it sitting there, I just took them home.
Crazy.
Yeah. So what ended up taking place from that point in time, my sister was going through some issues. And the sad part is there's, when I was digging into the Bigfoot topic, there would be guys that I would talk to, like, yeah, man, we'll go out there and we'll find them. We'll help you out, because they were believing what was going on. And when I realized, hey, they're actually human beings, they're the Edomites, and they're going to let you know that they exist as a witness to you that the Bible is true, dude, none of those guys would go up. And it's like, do you think your ignorance of the Bible is going to save you from what's coming? I mean, if I wasn't saved, I would do everything I could to give my chance the opportunity to avoid going to this lake of fire that the Bible said is set aside for those that don't repent. And so I just wanted to point that out. I've asked several people. Only a couple have gone up there. It's kind of pathetic. And there's a group of guys at work. Alex is one of them. You know, these guys have heard the confirmation of what's going on. Alex has got his own story, right? Close friends, I'm like, hey, man, if you want to go, I'll take you. They won't go. It's odd. I mean, I tell people, you know, movies are made about situations like this. You know, you're finding the unfindable treasure. You're discovering an unknown people. this could be your story, and they don't want to be a part of it. It's bizarre.
Yeah, people are funny, especially today. Can't motivate people to do much anymore with anything, but whatever.
Yeah. So what ended up taking place was eventually my sister came up, and now this is where it's going to get. I think that what I'm about to tell you, and mostly this conversation really is for you. If you post this, great. If you don't, I don't give two shits.
Oh, I posted it. I don't pick and choose what people listen to or not.
Okay. So what ended up taking place with my sister was she was going through some hardships, had some problems with her boyfriend, and she's going through she can't sleep, PTSD after what took place with the abuse, the situation she was in. And I said, Michelle, come up here. You got to meet the Edomites. This is going to change you in some way, shape, or form. And she had been asking, hey, what's going on in your life? And I told her what's been taking place because our family's not really that close. And she had called at one point in time and we were talking. She did get the vax and it was affecting her. And I said, hey, there are some things that I've heard you can take that'll help clean this up. And I sent her the videos of these people saying, hey, you can take these I guess vitamins and minerals. I don't know. I didn't do the vax shit, so I don't know. I didn't need to know, so I didn't retain what those things were. She got these supplies and it did help her out.
Good.
And that was an eye opener for her. She's like, fuck these scientists, these doctors, because she did what she was told. And I was like, damn, Michelle, if I had known, I would have warned you. But again, we're not a close family. And I had no idea that she was going down this road. Well, at this point in time, she's stressed out, not able to sleep. And I said, Michelle, come up here and meet the Edomites. I'll pay you to come up here if you can't afford it. She said, could you? Yes, come up. So she comes up, 3-hour drive from Fort Lauderdale. She hops in my Jeep. We go up another hour and a half up to Ocala to meet the Edomites. And we get there, and I said, hey, everybody, this is my sister, Michelle. She doesn't believe in the Bible. She thinks it's all bullshit. And she's like, yep. And I really hope you guys do something to kick her in the ass. Maybe she'll pick up the Bible, start reading it. Maybe she'll become a born-again Christian, right? So we're there about 15 minutes, and she goes, don't you see them? And I'm looking around kind of aggravated. I'm like, see who? And she said, the Edomites. Where are they? Right there in front of us. Like right there. And she goes, yeah, you don't see them? I'm like, no, Michelle, I see trees and bushes.
She's not panicking?
No, she's not. But she's also had a year to understand that they're people. They're not animals. Okay, so she can see them and I cannot. This is broad daylight. Based off of what they've done with her, showing me some of the stuff they can do, changed what I do with them. Now I don't hang out till friggin' 11 o'clock at night fighting mosquitoes. Mosquitoes come out. Hey, guys, I'm getting going. Y'all have a great night. Because I figure what they're going to do, they can do in the daylight if they want to. Right? And like I said, every time I go, they do something to let me know they're still there. Usually it's something new, but they'll always do something to let me know that they're still there. Here's a for instance. One day I was up there, and I've heard people talk about how they believe they've got like a hive mind. And I believe that's true to a point. Because this bird is going chirp, 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 chirp to my left. Another one's going chirp, 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 chirp to my right. And they're going back and forth like this. Chirp, 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 chirp. All of a sudden, they start oscillating between each other, but still making that chirping sound. And I was like, okay, well, that's not normal birds because birds can't do that. But they've got the ability to do something like that and be on cue with each other. No deviation of time. That's impressive shit. That's one of those things, like I said, they always do something. Usually it's something new to let me know that they're still there. So in this case, my sister, she's looking at them and I can't see anything. And I must be hallucinating. I'm like, well, Michelle, what do you see? Are they ugly? She goes, no, they're all good looking people. They're all clean. They all are well groomed. There's no sticks and twigs in their hair like you think there would be. Are they all hairy? Some are, some aren't. And she's describing what she's seeing. And she said that there's a guy that she called Grandpa. He was taller than the other ones, well muscled, but not as bulky and big as the other men that she saw. And she said, Grandpa is looking at her, and he made like an angry face like you do a kid, like an right? And she didn't react. And he goes like this, reeling back, laughing. And she said, it's weird that I can see them, but I can't hear them. And then she said there was a woman that was holding a baby, and she's hunched over, and she winks at my sister. And then she said that all the people, all the kids that were our size were dressed. They all had clothes.
What?
And then, dude, I'm going to back up what she's describing with this picture that I send you. She's describing how all the kids that are our size are wearing clothes, and all the clothes look new. They're not ratted and tattered like you'd think that they got off of a friggin' clothesline somewhere or found in a ditch. Everything looks good. She said that all the adults had no clothes. And I said, well, do you see anybody's genitals? And she said, no. If the men are standing, they're behind bushes. If they're on the ground, if they're out in the open, they're on the ground on their stomachs. And grandma is hunched over. She can't see anything. No breasts, no vagina, nothing. And I said, well, Michelle, let's analyze this. If this was a hallucination, I don't think they'd give a shit if you saw their genitals or not. But these people know the word of God, and they know that if you expose yourself, it's an abomination of the Lord. It's a sin against God. So to avoid that judgment, they're keeping themselves covered. They don't want you seeing what they got. And I said, if you think about it, Michelle, for them to be doing this, no, I'm sorry, hang on. I'm jumbling up the story. I apologize. Trying to remember the events, how it unfolded. She was concerned about them being a hallucination. I pointed out that if that was the case, they wouldn't give a crap if you saw their genitals or not. They're keeping themselves covered. And then she went on to describe how many of them were there. And she said, Chris, you don't understand. There's like 28 of them here.
What?
And I said,
how far away?
Right there. They're amongst us. There's just no evidence that anything's going on. They're walking around, they're talking, they're eating. She said it's like a party going on, like they're glad to be, everyone's smiling and having a good time. And she's describing what they look like. And she said they all are good looking people. And I said, do they have like all the same face? She said, no, they're like us, Chris. They've all got their unique face. They're all good looking people. None of them are ugly. Man, I apologize because I'm trying to recant what she saw and I don't want to screw it up.
That's all right.
I didn't see any of this, and it's broad daylight. There's no footprints being pressed anywhere. There's no trees being shoved aside. That's when I realized these people are, as the Indians have said, they are a physical being and a spirit being.
She didn't say like, holy cow, he's 10 feet tall or 12 feet tall or anything like that?
I'm getting there.
Right.
I'm glad you brought that up. After she got done describing what she saw, she kept going back to the same thing. She goes, Chris, you don't understand how big they are. They are big. I mean, they are big. She kept going back, just like what everybody does. After the initial description, she's talking about how massive these men are. She said most of the men, except for Grandpa, they all were about 12 feet tall, she concluded, except for Grandpa. He was pushing about 13. The 12-foot tall men, they all looked like bodybuilders. She said these guys are jacked. She said at one point in time, one of them was by my Jeep. It was in the evening, and she said that he had his hands up like this, like, I'm not going to hurt you. And she said he had this really sweet look on his face, like, I'm not going to hurt you. And so as the evening wore on, and I'm explaining to her that I've heard these stories before, two people together, one can see them, one cannot. I'm experiencing this, so clearly they can manipulate our vision. Okay, clearly we know through your example they manipulate our hearing. You've described that before, where you heard something or your buddy did. I think your buddy did. You didn't hear it, but it was down to you. Yeah, so we know they can mess with our hearing. People in these pungent smells that make you want to gag, dude. I don't think you're smelling them. They're just messing with your sense of smell, and you're smelling something, or at least you think you are. I think that's what they're actually doing. Because for all the time I've spent with these people, I've never smelled anything nasty. My sister ends up, we get ready to leave, and she's having a great night. And I said, hey, don't be surprised if they come by and visit you. They're actually very kind and very caring people. And if they do, would you mind just being kind and saying, hey, I'm not ready for this now? Because according to the Bible, part of the judgment that they're under is that we would reject them. And so if you're a 14-foot tall supernatural human being and you can't explain who you are, well, that leaves us to our imaginings. A lot of people run to the Bible, oh, they're the Nephilim, even though the Bible says that King Og of Bashan was the last of the Nephilim. He was killed 400 years before David and Goliath, which means Goliath was not a Nephilim. He was something else. My argument now, as I've read what's going on, is he was an Edomite who no longer had supernatural abilities because his bloodline was bred too much with us. And it's funny because you just started touching on how European scientists are claiming, depending on the purity of the blood, will allow them to have different abilities. I've been saying the same thing for 2 years now based off of what the Bible says. There are two types of Edomites in the Bible. Ones where the Lord personally has to get involved because they're supernatural with their abilities, and ones that have been bred too much with us, or they were inbreeding, like the six-fingered, six-toed giant that David's men killed, talked about in the Old Testament. I believe that was an Edomite, because again, this is all happening 400 years after King Og. Did I say Goliath? I'm sorry. King Og of Bashan was the last of the Nephilim, 400 years before David and Goliath, and he was killed by Moses and the Jews. So when you get to King David and he's dealing with these giants, I believe that those were Edomites whose bloodline was too thin, having bred with us too much, and they no longer had supernatural abilities. Because my experience with these people, King David should have never been able to get his hands on them.
All right.
With that being said, I use Samson as the example because as I've talked with people about this situation, they have a hard time thinking that God can create a human being to be this way. There's got to be some sort of angel thing going on. And I would argue this. When it came to Samson and his supernatural strength, as long as he did not cut his hair, he had supernatural strength. Once his hair got cut, he lost his supernatural strength. So then I would ask, where did the strength come from? His hair, or did it come from God, providing that his criteria that God wanted was met? I would argue it came from God. The Edomites are in the same boat. If they keep their DNA proper, they're going to be supernatural. They start breeding with us too much, which the Indians have always said they can do it. If they start breeding with us too much, they lose those supernatural abilities and we can get our hands on them. In the Old Testament, King David killed 22,000 Edomites. I believe that God was using King David to do a genocide of this situation, to clean up the bloodline, to show the Edomites, hey, I need you guys in tip-top shape. Stop breeding too much with the puny people. I think that's what God was trying to get across to them. So back to my sister, and we'll get into that stuff too here in a bit. And dude, if you want to make a couple videos about this, I'm totally fine with that, because this is going to be probably about maybe another hour long. I don't know. It's totally up to you. You won't let me know what you want to do. Back to my sister. I say, hey, don't be surprised if they come by and visit you. And she said, well, I live in Fort Lauderdale and I'm pretty much in city, like a mile from the beach. I can't believe that they'll be able to find me. All right, whatever. I mean, you're here looking at them. I can't see them. Clearly, they've got abilities we don't have. I'm just saying, if they show up, just be nice to them. Be kind to them. We've been rejecting them for 4,000 years. And I want everybody to understand that this rejection, they were made to feel the pain. This is not a situation where this was a fuck me, fuck you attitude, and they're walking into the forest with the finger in the air, not giving a shit. I believe that they were made to feel this pain. I was just watching a podcast from Cabin in the Woods, and this guy was asking an Indian elder about the Sasquatch that's drawn on a rock with the red stuff coming down from the eyes. Have you ever seen that picture before? Okay, well, there's a Sasquatch.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen it.
Well, this guy happened to ask the Indian elder, what is the red stuff coming from the eyes? And he said, those are tears, because the Sasquatch people are upset about what's going on between us. Well, dude, I've been saying the same thing based off of what the Bible says. They were made to be rejected by us because of what they did. This is part of their judgment. And I thought, dude, these people have been hurting for a long time, talking about the Edomites. They've been in pain over what's going on. So with that being said, my sister thanks me for a great night. And she goes back home, and 2 weeks later, she's calling me, Chris, call me right away. You're not going to believe this. I call her up. Hey, what's up? She said, they're here. They found me. I'm like, no kidding. What's going on? And she's telling me some of the things that's taking place. And I was like, well, Michelle, if you don't want them around, just tell them to leave, but be kind about it. She goes, no, I love having them here. I can't believe this. And what she described initially was a very strong wet dog smell in her apartment. And she doesn't have any animals. It was so strong, she's looking around the house for this animal that might be inside. There's nothing there. Eventually, she concluded that it was them through other means that she was doing. And eventually, they were doing things with her, like cleaning up a cabinet. She was telling me that she could see them through reflections of things. And she goes, Chris, that's how you can see them. Like, I see them in the reflection of my TV. I'm like, no, Michelle, they're letting you see them. And her story is not like anything that I've heard yet. Eventually, and this is the picture I'm going to send you, the Edomites allowed her. Let me back up. What she's describing is like ghost activity to me. And I asked her, are you sure you're not dealing with ghosts, Michelle? And she goes, no, Chris, I know what the Edomites look like. This is them. They're visiting me. And I said, well, have you seen anybody from the Ocala National Forest? And she said, yes, Grandpa has been here.
No shit.
I'm like, really? Yeah. I said, really? I'm like, you know what? I can't argue with you because I didn't see him. You got your own thing going on. And she's not bothered by them being around at all. She's totally comfortable being with them being with her. And she told me some of the situations that have taken place. But the key thing that I want to get to with this picture is that one of their women allowed her to snap a picture of her coming in at an angle above my sister. And what you see is a woman looking over her left shoulder at my sister. And she's got, looks like an earring in her ear, some hair draped over one of her eyes. She's got a strong brow line, like the Neanderthal thing that we hear. She's got a strong brow line. And she's got, looks like maybe black lipstick with a white face, but the shoulder is the same color as our skin. So she might be sporting a goth look. I don't know if they do the same thing like our people do in that level, but she looks like an attractive woman. Her face isn't out of proportion like mine. I've got a big nose. It's too big for my face. To me, she looks like an attractive woman, but when I send you this picture and you see how they come into our realm of existence, dude, nobody's hunting these people.
Well, I'll add that into the video once you've sent it, once I get it later on.
Well, I wished I would have said this earlier. She doesn't want everybody getting this picture. I asked if it's okay if I send it to you because I've sent her your videos before about some of these encounters. She knows who you are. And she said that would be fine. But if I would ask you, if you want to show Sarah or anybody personal, please don't send this picture off. So I don't know how she knows, but she said they don't like getting their picture taken. I don't know why, but this is what she said.
I got another quick question about her. Does she have, before you took her up into the woods, does she have any prior interest or activity with like mediums or the spiritual world?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Oh, yeah.
See, I thought the same thing. Because of what happened with her, I started to go back and rethink the ghost issue, the demon issue, right? And for those of you that think that Sasquatch is evil or the Nephilim, demons, or fallen angels, understand what I said earlier. I asked these people, can I bring people up here of my choosing to let them know that you exist as a witness to them that the Bible is true? Because you people are linked directly to the Bible, and they gave the okay. Everybody that I've taken up there has gotten their own experience. It's almost like it's tailor-made.
Now, back another quick question before we get too further away from it. Did she describe any like conical heads or glowing eyes or extra hairiness?
Not conical heads, not hairiness, not extra hairiness. She said that some of them were hairier than others, but there were some that did not have hair at all. And I'm assuming that the reason why we see the hairy ones is because they're the Esau's people. I think if we saw bald Edomites, we'd think they're the Nephilim. And through my years of thousands of, I'd say close to 1,000 eyewitnesses report trying to figure out what's going on, there was definitely one, maybe a second one, where the person said that she saw a hairless Edomite. But she called him Sasquatch, but this individual had no hair, and it was clearly a Sasquatch she was describing, but the hair was not there. He had bald flesh.
Now, you said earlier you've seen these people, right?
I had to argue the issue. Yeah. I was like, guys, it's not fair that I can see you. I'm sorry, you can see me, but I can't see you. It's kind of bullshit, I mean, I know you're people. What's the deal? So what they ended up doing was one time with my buddy Rob, when we were up there camping, it was nighttime, full moon. I got to see from 30 yards away one of these people, and it wasn't an adult. It was a kid, I suspect, because he was a little bit bigger than our size, running across about 30 yards away, blonde hair. There was no up and down motion. It was smooth going across, no sound. And it was one of them doing that hunched over look they do. Now, I know a lot of people think that their arms are longer than their legs. My sister said that their proportions were just like ours. And I think when they're doing that, what it looks like their arms are longer, I think what they're doing is they're actually crouching down so they don't look so big. I think if they completely stood up straight, they'd be a lot larger than what they appear. And for the eyewitness who's already stressed out at what they're looking at, they don't want to freak them out that much. So they crouch down, making themselves look smaller. So if you're looking at them, you're panicked. The arms look longer than the legs because they're crouching down. That's a theory of mine. Can't prove it. My sister said these people, their proportions were just like ours.
Well, the thing is, for that one, though, unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but the thing is, though, we got how many broad daylight standing right there looking at me 15 feet away and arms way too long in proportion to be human. We had that so clear so many times with so many witnesses.
Right.
And where clear enough, they would have been able to tell, Well, they're obviously crouching down, and that's what made his arms look longer. Said not too many people.
But if you're panicked, would you even notice that what was going on?
I don't know. There's too many
Yeah,
witnesses, though. You know what I
don't
mean?
know.
Like
Yeah.
I just go by patterns. What I hear,
Dude,
I listen.
I
to
hear
everything.
you. I hear you. The only thing I could suggest is that because they can read our minds, and maybe the individual is of the monkey idea. Maybe they were allowed. Maybe they were made to see something like that because they can definitely mess with our vision. I don't know. I couldn't tell
It's
you.
like what your sisters see, and I haven't heard this before. You know what I mean? Out of
Neither,
40,000
yeah,
eyewitnesses.
neither have I. Neither have I. And like I said, when I send you the picture of this woman coming into our realm of existence, how she's coming in, nobody's hunting these people. If they can do things like that, no one's touching them.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
So
yeah.
she looks like an attractive woman to me, and I do apologize to everybody that you're not going to get to see the picture. But with that being said, with AI these days, pictures, videos don't mean a shit anymore.
Yeah.
Anything can be fake now. So Steve, you and me together, this is authentic picture that she sent me. She doesn't have the technical skill to fake something like this,
Gotcha.
and it's authentic as far as I know.
Sure.
To everybody else, it doesn't matter because with AI, anything can be faked.
Yeah.
So those days, in my opinion, have sailed. Those days are long gone now. Anything
Gotcha.
can be, nothing video or picture wise matters anymore.
So how long ago was this? Your sister came in the woods with you?
Oh wow, that was about a year and a half ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Does she still go up in the woods with you? Or?
Well, she lives down in Fort Lauderdale, and she's busy doing some sort of schooling, and she wants to come up and spend time with him again. Just to come. Why up here? I don't know. When she's got him down there, I don't know. I know for me personally, I invited him to my house as time went on, as I realized what was going on. And like I said, I had to rethink the ghost issue, the demon issue. And I began to realize, that I think what these people are doing, because biblically, most of them are born again Christians, what they're doing is they're witnessing to us the only way they can by letting us know that they exist. And I figured, if you have a demon experience or something that jars you psychologically, that makes you call on the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, I think that's all the intention was.
Right.
If they end up driving you to find out what's going on because you realize this Bigfoot topic is real, a lot of us get led to the Bible and we find out about the Nephilim, and most of us stop there.
Right.
They don't care that you think they're the Nephilim, in my opinion, as long as you started getting honed in on the Bible. And to those that think that they're evil or they're demons or fallen angels or Nephilim, if you know the Bible at all, you'll know that one of the best things that somebody can do for Lucifer to ruin your life, which will ultimately end up leading you to a lake of fire on the day you die because you never read the Bible. There is a hierarchy in his kingdom according to what the Bible says. So why would he be allowing his minions to do things that would drive you to the Bible to read it? Because his best interest to keep you deceived is to not read that thing.
Right.
Right?
Gotcha.
So to me, it's counterproductive if they're one of these fallen angels or a Nephilim,
right,
or a demon, right? It doesn't make any sense to me. So as I've sat there and listened to my sister's stories and what she's got going on in her apartment, of all things, I really started to have to ask the question about the whole ghost issue. Well, biblically, when we die, we go to heaven or hell. There is no in between. We don't get to linger around. And demons, from what I can tell, they want to possess a body. Now, I believe a demon is the dispossessed spirit of the Nephilim. They're still roaming around here, and they weren't assigned heaven or hell because they should have never existed, in my opinion. And so with that being said, fallen angels, I don't think they care about people on our level. They're more interested in people that are in positions of government that can control things,
right,
media, so on and so forth. Could be wrong, it's just my opinion. So the only thing that makes sense to me, based off of what I'm learning from my sister and my own experiences, I think it's always been the Edomites, and what they're doing is they're witnessing to us in the only way they can, because as far as I can tell, they're not allowed to talk to us. They can't even say, hey guys, we're the Edomites and we're born again Christians and you all need to repent and be saved. Otherwise you're going to go to hell. That's all we can say. Goodbye. Nothing like that has ever happened. So with that being said, based off of my sister and what she's got going on, I eventually did say, hey guys, I've got a privacy fence in my backyard. If you can make it back there, you want to watch TV with me while I smoke cigars, you're more than welcome to. And they started coming by, believe it or not. Yeah. So what ended up taking place was I hear this loud ticking sound one day broad daylight, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I hear tick, 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 tick. And I'm thinking to myself, all right. And I say out loud, this is too loud to be an insect, and birds don't make this noise. This has got to be one of you people. So I get up, walk around back, broad daylight. I'm looking around. I've got a corner lot. There's nothing to see. I'm like, whatever. Go back and sit down, watch TV. 2 weeks later, I go up to spend time with the Edomites up at the lake in Ocala, and I hear that same sound coming from the lake. Tick, 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 tick. And I was like, I knew that was one of you people back there. Why don't you let me know you're there? I'll leave out some food, blah, 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 blah. And as time went on, they ended up changing the sounds, which they do periodically do make that noise. And I realized what they were doing was mimicking my pilot light on my stove in my kitchen. It's a gas stove. So when you go to light it, that tick, 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 and then it lights.
Right.
They were mimicking that sound. Yeah. So what they do now is my buddy Rob and I, same guy I was talking about earlier, we mentioned how we both love cricket noises. So now what they do is I've got crickets behind me to my right and my left. When it starts getting dark, they kick up. And this has been going on for 2 years now. I've got cricket sounds all around my house. And I dug into the breeding pattern of crickets, and one cricket can lay 50 eggs a month. So for 2 years now of having crickets around my house, I should be swarming with crickets. I've never seen a single cricket. So with that being said, I'll put on TV for them to watch, shows that I think they'd like. And what they'll do from time to time is the cricket sounds will be going, and I'll hear a real loud cricket in my ear doing the cricket noises. It'll go cricket, I can't mimic it that well. Sounds just like a cricket. I'll turn my head to look, and it stops. I'll go back to watching TV. It starts kicking up again. I'll turn my head to look. It stops. I go back to watching TV. It kicks up again. I turn my head. It stops. And then I start busting out laughing because I realize they're just playing with me. They're just letting me know they're there. Right? So as time has gone on, I've said, hey, if you guys want to go inside and hang out, you're more than welcome to. That's fine. And they've let me know that they're in the kitchen, at least with this popping sound that they'll make periodically. It'll kind of go around the house, just let me know that they're there. And like I said, after having listened to my sister and having spent time with them, I really had to re-question what I think I know about demons and spirits and ghosts and all that shit. And I'm like, you know what? The Bible says if the Edomites try to build, God knocks it to the ground. Well, some of these people might want to live in a dwelling. And I often ask myself, as I'm digging into this and reprogramming myself of what I think I know, it's a lot. Well, why would ghosts or demons want to occupy an abandoned building? It doesn't make any sense. But what if you've got this other option over here in people that if they try to build, God knocks it to the ground because they're under judgment right now, but they want to live in a dwelling? Maybe they're the ones that are occupying these haunted malls and haunted abandoned buildings. Maybe that's what's actually going on. Maybe it's them. So that being said, I think that's what's actually occupying our abandoned buildings with this, these ghostly encounters. It's actually the Edomites doing it. Don't know, can't prove it, but that's where my brain's starting to go.
Yeah.
So
where do you go from here? Like with everything that's happened, it doesn't seem like they haven't really overly ramped up their end of it with you. You know what I mean? They're just giving you clues and hints. We're here. We're here. Like, when do you get to the point? Like for me, I'm like, all right, I know you're here. Whatever. Like I'm not getting anything out of this. You're not going to talk to me. So have fun. I got shit to do.
Well, because they're okay. So when we dig into the Edomite issue, the Bible says that they would be destroyed as a nation. They would be rejected by us if they try to build. God knocks it to the ground. And the reason why they're in the predicament they're in, and I'll get to your question here in a second, is because they pissed off the Lord. They were supposed to protect the Jews when they went into Babylonian captivity. Most of them did not do that as a nation. There were pockets that did, but most of them did not. And because they didn't, they're under the judgment that they're currently under. So reading the Bible and you come across the issue of the rapture. You ever heard of the rapture of the church yet? Okay, so in Luke 21, Jesus is asked, what's it going to be like before you return? He gives a brief revelation judgment rundown of what's going to happen. And he says at the end of this, always pray yourself worthy to escape the things that are going to come and stand before the Son of Man. If you listen closely what he says, always pray yourself worthy, which means you could be then counted unworthy, right? Because there's a lot of born-again Christians out there that are doing things that are pissing the Lord off, and they think they're going to get to be a part of the rapture when this happens, and that may not be the case. So he's telling us, always pray yourself worthy to escape the things that are going to come and stand before the Son of Man. The book of Daniel says that the Edomites, the Moabites, and the Elamites escape the issues of the Antichrist, or the false Messiah, which indicates to me most of these people are born-again Christians and they're going to get caught up in the rapture. So because they're born-again Christians, and I am too, they're brothers and sisters in Christ, and their rejection has been something painful to them from us, I don't mind them being around, because I believe this is what I'm dealing with, is a supernatural, multidimensional, born-again Christian. And sadly, they're not allowed to converse with us. I think that this mind speak that's going on is real, because as time has gone on, I've addressed various issues with them, and they've shown me that it's true. The mind speak was one of them. I've never heard any voices in my head. I want you to understand that right now. What they did with me is being at the house and spending time with them up in Ocala. I said, hey guys, I hear you guys do this mind speak. Can we talk that way? Is maybe this way we can get around what's going on here? Well, what they did with me was over the course of 2 weeks, and it was about 2 or 3 times during the week. And then, like I said, I've already invited them to be at my house if they should choose. I would hear my alarm going off in my head. And I would wake up in a panic wanting to shut this thing off because it's going off way too early. It should be daylight when it's going off, and it's not. I set it for 8:30. It's like 4 o'clock in the morning. It's in my head going off. I wake up in a panic, realize it's not even activated. I go back to sleep. This goes on for 2 weeks, roughly 2 to 3 times a week. And then the last time I realized there's a pressure in my head. And I've heard people claim that when they get mind speak, there's a pressure in your head. This happened again. And when I addressed the issue with them, I said, okay, I think you guys are showing me that the mind speak thing is true, except you're using my alarm in my head. I appreciate you letting me know that that's an actual thing that's going on. People aren't making that up. But guys, I need to get some sleep. Would you please stop? And that was the last time they did that. So that was
side note. You got 15 minutes left. I gotta go.
Okay, so there's a lot more, dude. I don't know if you care to sit through it or not. Back to the Edomite issue, and I was really wanting to tie in how the Moabites, the Edomites, and the Elamites are all connected together. And what happens is
Uh-oh. You froze up.
No, that was me. I was thinking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That was me. So what I discovered was digging into this issue. I started when I realized that the Edomites, I started reading everything on Esau, Edom, Edomites. And while I'm doing that, I'm realizing that the Moabites and the Ammonites and the Elamites are all linked together in judgment. I'm thinking maybe there's a connection here. So as I started digging into the other people, this is what I found out. The Moabites, the Jews were told never to marry into the Moabite people. The exception was Ruth, the book of Ruth. She was a Moabite. She was known to be extremely beautiful, and she ends up becoming the great-grandmother of King David. Now, I had started arguing that the Moabites, the Edomites, the Ammonites, and the Elamites are all connected in some form because of what's going on. So the key thing about King David is that when he's born ruddish in appearance. Theologians claim it's the same word to describe Esau. I've been claiming that the Moabites are Edomites by another name. King David, as a boy, wants to fight this guy Goliath. And he goes to Saul and say, hey, I can take bears and lions by the hair and strike them dead. I've never heard any preacher explain where he gets this strength from. And remember, his appearance is like that of Esau. And as I started digging into this topic and realizing there's a connection, I'm like, wait a minute. Ruth, the Moabite, connected to the Edomites. This is where David's getting his strength from. Now, according to David Paulides in his Bigfoot Class 101, parts 1 through 20, he talked about how a 10-foot tall Edomite was seen walking along a dirt road, and scientists went out there to try to figure out how heavy he was. This 10-foot tall dude was pushing 5,000 pounds. They get up to 14 feet, so you figure that's going to multiply in weight as well, up to 7,500 pounds, I would guess. So King David as a youth, as a boy, and he's definitely a boy because Goliath says, what am I, such a dog that you would send a youth to come out to fight me? So he's definitely a boy in some fashion. He's nowhere close to being a man. So he's got the weight to be able to control these animals too, on top of being able to grab them by the hair and striking them dead. Again, never heard any preacher talk about where he got his strength from. There's an Ammonite king who had a crown that weighed 75 pounds. That's a big crown for a big head. People are like us can't hold and walk around 75 pounds on our head. It ain't going to happen. At some point, King David gets that crown fashioned to his head so he can wear it. And there's also an Ammonite, I don't know if it was the same guy or not, but there's a 2-foot long dagger that gets thrust into his belly, and it goes all the way over the hilt. So this was a big stomach on a big guy. Okay. The Ammonites, part of their judgment that they're under is that they would be made to be forgotten. Well, that can be applied to the Edomites because the church has got no idea who the Edomites really are. Okay. So then you get to the Moabites, Ammonites, then you get to the Elamites. God says that the Elamites will be dispersed amongst the nations. There will be no nation where they are not. Well, Sasquatch are reported in every nation. I'm claiming they're the Edomites. It also says that God will destroy the enemies of the Edomites with the Elamites. God will destroy the enemies of the Elamites with the sword and destroy them completely. Okay, so anybody hunting these people, it ain't happening. You mess with them, you cross the line with them, I do believe that they will come after you. I think some of those cases with David Paulides, it's because people cross the line with these people, not realizing what they're dealing with, and they got taken out. The Bible also talks about how when Jesus returns, he's going to commandeer the land of the Elamites for himself, and he's going to set up his throne in their kingdom, and he's going to restore them back again as a people. A similar event takes place with the Edomites. When Jesus returns, he's going to commandeer their land for himself. It's almost the same event. So as I started digging into this issue, I'm beginning to realize that these are all the same people. They're just going by different names. And I believe that's what's taking place. And if you check out a place called Petra in the country of Jordan, that was the last known location of the Edomites before they fell under judgment. And if you look at how big those openings are and check out the insides of those structures, dude, I don't give a shit what historians tell us. People our size did not make that place.
Right.
Have you ever seen those pictures before?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're massive. And just recently, Josh Gates on Expedition Unknown did a 2-part series on Petra, and they were calling them by a different name, but in one 2 or 3 minute segment of conversation, they said that the originators of Petra were the Edomites. So you've got secular historians claiming this is the last known location of these people. They made
Interesting.
Yeah.
Running out of time any minute. We only got a few minutes. Hey, one quick question. What do you think about Dogman?
I believe they exist. I've never seen or had any experiences with them, but somebody pointed out that a scientific name was given to them. And if they don't exist, why would science do that?
Oh, they're real. They're real. I was wondering if you had any thoughts on how that
No. In my Bigfoot research, when I thought they were animals, I came across 2 stories of people that had encounters what I would assume was a dogman. And my personal opinion, I think that they are the beasts of the earth talked about, not the Edomites. And I believe, as far as I can tell, any stories that I've dug into, if you're a shitty person, you might have some problems with them. As long as you're a good dude, I don't think you got to be born again Christian or anything, but as long as you're good at heart, you're not going to have any issues, because it's bizarre to me to have these things exist and there's eyewitnesses. Something's going on. They're not after everybody.
Yeah.
And I believe, in my personal opinion, I think they're a vessel of judgment that hasn't been unleashed yet, which will be done during the Book of Revelation judgments. Can't prove it, just my speculation.
When do you feel everything's coming to a head?
Well, all Bible prophecy revolves around the Jewish nation being a functioning entity, which happened in 1948. In 1967, I believe, is when the countdown began, when they retook Jerusalem, because the book of Daniel tells us that there are 77-year judgments set aside for thy people and thy holy city. The Jews retook Jerusalem, which is the holy city, in 1967, and I believe that's when the countdown began. I suspect that the rapture is probably 2 to 3 or 4 years off. The key event to indicate that it's coming is that the seas and the waves will be roaring and the nations will be perplexed. And Jesus says, as you see this happen, lift up your heads, for your redemption draws nigh. And I believe he's talking about the rapture.
All right.
And I really wish we had more time, because I would love to be able to get on the gay issue and give those people a heads up. There's nothing special about your sin. A lying tongue is an abomination of the Lord. Somebody who manipulates is an abomination of the Lord. You know, an abomination is an abomination. Yeah. Stop listening to church people beat you up over this issue. And I wish we had more time, because I would love to be able to equip them with an argument to throw back in these people's faces, because I'm so sick of what the current day church is doing. It's
Yeah,
just
well, there's a lot of shit going on today. Like we obviously talk about a billion different topics easily, and I try. Well, it's not that I try not to. I started off on this topic and I want to see it through. But you know what?
right.
I'll just leave on this one for one thing that's really, really, really eating me lately as of late. Probably because I didn't have to. I chose to listen to one of the survivors from the Epstein gang, and I listened to the details. And I've always had a big concern about children being hurt. And all the dog shit getting flooded into society left, right, and center about things that everybody's trying to get everybody to focus on. Kash Patel said this, Pam Bondi said that, Melania said that, Trump said that, Macron's, the French, blah, blah, blah. In the end, as long as we as a society continue to let monsters sexually injure and destroy babies in our country, there's nothing else to be arguing about. That's what's going down. Nobody's doing nothing about it. That's the only thing you should be concerned about right now.
I totally agree.
You know,
I agree. But sadly, what do we do? You know, what can you and I? What can we do?
Well,
these people are watching, listening, what we're saying. You know, it's disturbing to the degree that I suspect we're being monitored. And you know, if people like us try to rise up, we get David Koresh. You know,
I get it. I get it.
I don't know what to make of what, what to do.
I know what I'd like to do, but it takes a lot of money and a lot of skilled people. So, and that's organizing. But it's just, I want everybody to understand. I'm going to bring this up probably every time I talk to somebody because I think it's worthy and it should. It frustrates me is as long as I just cannot believe that everybody is all over the map arguing about this, arguing about that. Oh, by the way, well, we know they're raping kids, but anyways, and it just goes right by, just like that.
Well, if you think about what happened back in the 60s, fornication was normalized with the love era. And then in the 80s, adultery becomes normalized. And then in the 90s, 2000s, homosexuality gets normalized. And now they're working on pedophilia.
Yeah.
It's what it seems like to me. They're just trying to make it the norm.
Yeah.
And it seems to be working. It's odd.
It's very, very frustrating, probably because not too many people are actually seeing the terror and the tears and the horror in the faces of those kids.
I know.
And I cannot believe it. And how many people in the world today are parents? But nobody's, I don't understand how we became such a suppressed, controlled society that we turn the other cheek when we know that the people taking your money and making the rules are raping babies. I just don't understand it. It blows me away, freaks me out. I'm letting myself down by not actually going and using my hunting skills and just doing things myself. You know what I mean? Like I'm at a very frustrated stage of life right now with all this shit.
Look, man, I wished I had answers for you.
Yeah.
I don't. You know, I just don't.
Anyway, but as long as I just keep talking about it, just keep spreading the word, hopefully the energy comes together and hopefully every frickin' parent out there starts blowing a gasket and we just shut down society and end it until it gets cleared up. Just shut it down. Don't move. As long as kids are getting raped by the people in charge, don't even leave your house. Don't move. Shut it down. Shut it down.
Dude, I know, but I wish I had answers for you, man. I really do.
Yeah, I get it.
It sucks. It is. For me personally, and it sounds corny, I put my trust in that whatever happens, God is going to see it righted, even for those people, those kids that have been hurt, murdered, raped.
Still getting raped.
I believe, yeah, I know, and he's got honor free will. That's something that everybody doesn't understand. God has to allow these things to happen. He has to allow free will. And that's something that nobody really contemplates, is that he can't violate that. He can't make us repent, although it's in everybody's best interest to do so. He can't make that even happen.
Yeah.
So when he talks about issues of hell, like you're talking about these people doing these things, it's a real thing that's going to happen to them if they should never repent. And even those people, until the day they die, they've got the opportunity to save their souls. Are they? I don't know.
They need to be hung upside down over some flames. That's all. Yeah. Anyway, but I'm just going to make a point of making a quick mention of that every time I talk to somebody at the end.
Dude, no problem, man. I get it.
What I mean? I got to do it.
When it comes to this picture with my sister and that woman coming in at this angle that she is, how do I get that to you? And please do not post this online, but if you want to show it to like Sarah, any family members, you're more than welcome
Yeah, I
to.
won't
But
post it. You know, somebody sent me a video and told me to hold on to it. I think I made it 4 years until they said, it's okay to share it. Okay. No
okay,
problem.
so but how do I get you this picture?
Just email it to me or text it, I guess, whatever.
Okay, that we're to the number that we're on now, or the one that Sarah
Yeah,
contacted?
the one on, that'll work.
Okay, cool.
I got to rip out of here. I was supposed to be in a buddy of mine to go look at these logs I want to go get, and it's one of those times where shit, I can't miss this meeting, so I got to go.
Gotcha.
Okay, man, I
All right,
appreciate
well,
having you up. That was
yeah.
you could talk, brother.
But hey, if you ever want to hear the rest of what's taking place, because there is more and more people have taken up there, I can tell you what had taken place in those circumstances too. If you ever want to talk, give me a call, and I'll fill you in on the rest of what took place.
All right, man. All right, I appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir. You have a great day.
You too, man. I'm out of here.
Thank you. Bye-bye.